Good morning and welcome to the video for Friday, January the 8th. This is going to be a video for 6th grade covering lesson 7.3 from Go Math. So guess what? We are finally at doing proper algebra. So today we're going to be working on writing expressions. So for almost everything, unless for some reason they ask us for an answer, we are not going to solve the expressions that we write. We are just coming up with how can we represent this problem using variables and numbers. So to start with, a variable is going to be a letter that stands for one or more numbers. Now, it says one or more. For what we're working on today, it's just going to represent one number. Um, there will be times that, let's say, we're doing a more advanced problem, and we might have the same variable show up in different parts of the problem. Um, but usually, if that's what we're doing, we're going to get the value for that somewhere in, like in a word problem. And then we're not going to be solving for that particular variable. There will be a different variable that we would solve for. But we'll worry about all of that later. But for at least for today, one letter represents one number, essentially. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our unlock the problem. So an artist charges $5 for each person in a cartoon drawing. We want to write an expression for the cost in dollars of a drawing that includes a certain number of people. So at some point in time, we've talked about, or actually, you know what, we probably haven't yet, but we've talked about it with science. So dependent and independent variables. So we will talk about that more. So our independent variable in this case is going to be the one that's set. Um, if I'm remembering that correctly, I might be giving it backward. And then the dependent variable is going to be the one that affects the answer. So in this case, P is going to be that variable that it could be a different number of people. And so as that number changes, that is going to change our total. And 5 is going to be the independent variable. It's not going to change. Assuming that I'm remembering that correctly, if I'm not, I will definitely correct that at some point so that you guys know. But I think we're coming up on that in another lesson or two. So we'll probably hit that next week. So our cost per person is going to come out to being $5 times the number of people, which is going to be P. So the cost in dollars would be 5, and then we are going to write the variable in there. So 5P. So we can actually go ahead and it's like saying we're doing 5 times the number of people when we write it like that. And so this is kind of a more shorthand way of representing things. So let's do the next part. We get 2 extra muffins for free with every muffin order. Write an expression for the number of muffins if they order M. So let's say that I am going to get M number of muffins, and I'm going to get plus 2 extra muffins. So in this case, instead of just writing it like this, I actually need to write out the entire expression. So whatever M is, so let's say I buy 5 muffins. In that case, if I bought 5 muffins, then my answer would be 5 plus 2. If I only bought 4 muffins, it would be 4 plus 2. So that one is going to affect our answer. That number is going to change what our answer will be. Let's see. All right, so table at the right shows the number of points that each type of item on the quiz is worth. And so we want to figure out the score. So we are going to get short answer. So the short answer is going to be S. The multiple choice answer is going to be M. And so for our answer for that, we are going to end up with 5. So 5 times S, or yeah, I'm going to make my S look like that. So we'll call this one 5 and we'll make it look the same way. So we could actually go ahead and combine both of these together. And so the way that we could do that is we can do, oh, sorry, 2m. So we can take away the parentheses and put them side by side, plus 5s. And again, like trying to show the difference between a 5 and an s when I'm using my mouse is very difficult. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Let's see. So we're going to do a algebraic expression, or we're going to write kind of what we've just been doing and relate it to the words that we have. So 30 more than the product of 4 and x. And so we have 4 times x here, and then they've represented that down there. 30 more than that, then we're going to be writing 30 plus 4x. And I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more. I don't know how well this is going to show up. I know I'm zoomed in very far as it looks on my screen, but I don't know how clear it will be when you guys watch this. So hopefully that works for you. If not, send me a message in Google Classroom. I can try to adjust for in the future because these things are written kind of small the way that I'm looking at it anyway. All right, so 4 times the sum of x and 30. So the x and 30 is going to come first, and then we're going to represent that over here. I'm going to skip this part and just plug in the 4. We are doing 4 times, and then we have the amount x plus 30. So depending on what the value of x is going to change what our final answer would be. So number 1, I want you to think about this for a moment. When you write an algebraic expression with 2 operations, how can you show which operation to do first? There's a couple different ways that we can do that. So think about your order of operations. And you could even think about the example that we just did as an example of one of the things that we could do. All right, so if we are doing something with multiplication, but we want to do the addition part first, we need to put it in parentheses because multiplication always comes before addition. So in this problem here, if we want this part to go first because our answer is going to depend on this amount, then we have to make sure that we do that first. So let's say I put the number 5 here. So I want 5 plus 30, and that's the first part. And so I get 35, and then I can multiply times 4, and that gives me, I believe, 140. If I do it the other way, I would get 4 times 5, which is 20, plus 30, and that's not what we're looking for. So if this part has to come first, we need to put it in parentheses. If we really want to do something else first and we've got like a tie for different things, then we can go ahead and kind of manipulate how it's written. So let's say in this example that we want to go ahead and multiply both of these. Then we could write 4x times 30 and do it that way and say, I want you to do this 4x part first. And then from there, we can go ahead and multiply by 30. So the order that we write the problem in or using parentheses can both help us be able to figure out how to make sure that we get the exact answer we're looking for as we write the expression. All right, let's go on to the next page. So we want to write an expression for the product of 6 and p. And what operation does the word product indicate? Big hint. If we look at the problem, that's going to give us an idea of, what we're looking for. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to. I don't think this one will take very long to do. Some of the ones that we do later are going to be a little bit more complicated, but this one's relatively easy. So when you're ready, go ahead and hit play, assuming you're pausing. So we are doing multiplication here. So I'm just going to put times, because I know some of you still talk about it that way, which, I mean, it's fine. But again, we probably, by 6th grade, should be using the proper terminology. We're working with products. We're working with multiplication. And so our expression that's going to give us the product is going to be 6 times p. We could also represent that by writing the number and the variable next to each other without the multiplication sign. So we could also do something that looks like this. And that is a shorthand way of showing this. All right, so I want you to go ahead and look at number 2 and number 3. I'm going to give you a suggestion on number 3, which is going to carry over, I believe, to one of the homework problems that we're doing. If we're talking about a quotient of something, there's a really good chance that our variable is going to be the dividend, our starting number for our division problem. And this is going to be the divisor, okay? So it could work the other way, but we're probably looking at this actually being the dividend and this being the divisor. So go ahead and do it that way, and that will probably give you a better idea of what we're doing, because we're more likely going to end up with numbers that are larger than 5, and we're going to divide that up into groups of 5. Okay, so just as a suggestion for that. So go ahead and do number 2 and number 3. Pause the video if you need to, and when you're ready, go ahead and hit play. All right, so for this one, we want 11 more than E, so we can do this in either order. We're doing one operation, it's just addition. We can use the commutative property of addition to write it either with the 11 first or the 11 last. So whichever one you chose to do, we could do 11 plus E, or we could do E plus 11. You don't need to give me both options. All right, and for this one, we are doing 9 minus the quotient of n and 5. So one of the things that we probably need to do just for clarity is to go ahead and put the n divided by 5 in parentheses. We don't need to do that. We could also do n divided by 5 and then minus 4, or sorry, minus 9. But there's a chance that someone might try to do 5 minus 9 before we get started. So if you do it this way, we shouldn't have any issues. And actually, we probably want to put the 9 at the end, actually. Now I'm thinking about, we're not doing 9 minus, we're doing 9 less than this. So we would do this minus 9. So again, that should probably suggest that we need to have the variable be first so that we actually have enough to actually take away when we're done doing that. So let's go down to number 4. So here's another example. So 20 divided by C. So C is going to be our divisor. So if we do that, that should be really easy. We're going to do 20 divided by C. All right, I think I left off with saying we were doing 20 divided by C, and then I've had my thing crash on me a couple times since then, so hopefully this will be kind of sorted out now as we go on. So we are going to look at number 5. We're doing 8 times the product of 5 and t, so think about what that could be. We are wanting to go ahead and do multiplication for both steps. So there's a couple different ways that we could write this. So pause the video if you need to, and when you're ready, go ahead and hit play. All right, so assuming that you did that, we are looking for 8 times, and then we can go ahead and lump the 5 and t together. So I'm going to put t as my exponent that comes after that, and then that can be my answer. We don't necessarily need to do 5 times t and put it in parentheses, but that could also be correct. Just keep in mind, when we're only working with multiplication or only working with addition, we can switch the order of the numbers around and it's not going to make any difference. So if you wanted to put the 8 on this side, you could definitely do that. Let's look at number 7. So a state park charges $6 for an entry fee and $7.50 for each night of camping, and we want to write an expression for that. So we're going to have 2 different operations we need to do. So pause the video, think about what those are going to be and what order we might want to put those in as we write our expression. And when you're ready, hit play. All right, so because this $6 amount is going to be fixed and its addition, I'm going to put that at the end. So I'm going to put plus, and then I'm going to do my $6. And then the amount that I'm going to multiply is going to be $7.50 times, and then we're doing n. So I'm going to just go ahead and group this together and do 7.50n plus $6. So we know that we have to multiply when we do this. When we have the number joined with the variable, we have to multiply. So that's a shorthand way of doing it. You could also go ahead and do $7.50 times n plus $6. And then if we're doing the order of operations, we have to do the multiplication part first, then the addition part. And so you could also write it that way and get the correct answer. I'm tired of this thing crashing, so I'm going to try to scoot ahead a little bit. I think I was at about 13 minutes when it dropped the first time. So I'm still kind of on track to be done by 20 minutes at the rate that I'm going. So I would like to go ahead and look at this problem here. We'll do number 9 and number 11, and then we'll talk through the homework. So number 9, Martina signs up for the cell phone plan described at the right. We want an expression that gives the total cost of the plan in dollars if Martina uses it for M number of months. I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. So it says pay a low monthly fee of $50 and receive $10 off your first month's fee. So what information do we know about the cell phone plan? So think about that for a moment. What information do we know by looking at this? Okay, so you've had a chance to look at that. Hopefully we can see this is going to be the monthly rate, except for the first month, which is going to be $10 off. So we are going to be able to say that we know the cost for each month, and we know what the cost of the first month would be, and that it would be different. So however you want to explain that. And then we want to write the expression for the monthly fee in dollars for M months. So we're going to do 50. And then we could do times M, or we could just do 50M for that part. What operation can we use to show the discount of $10? Oh, sorry, I forgot to put a dollar sign here. So we can do 10. We can do minus $10. So the total expression can be the combination of both of these. So let's say that we do for 5 months. So this would give me $250, and then we take away 10, which would be accurate. That would give us a correct answer if we do it that way. If we do it for 1 month, if that's even an option, it would be $50 for that month minus the $10, which would give us $40, which would be the first month's amount. So we can go ahead and combine that together. So we can do $50 or do 50M minus $10. And then let's look at number 11. A cell phone company charges $40 per month plus 5 cents for each text message sent. We want the options that show the cost for 1 month of cell phone usage and sending M text messages. So we want to figure out where the M should be attached to. Should it be attached to the 40? Should it be attached to the M? Or should we do something different with that? So think about that for a moment. And when you're ready, go ahead and hit play. So there are 2 different things that represent this, but they both are 2 different ways of describing the same operation. What we're looking for is $40 per month plus this amount times M. So for that would give us this, and then 40 more than the product of this and M. So our 2 middle ones would be the correct options for that. And let's look at our homework. So we are going to be doing 2 through 12. So that's going to be everything up at the top here. So you guys by this point should be able to understand exactly what we're doing and how to represent these. and there may be more than one correct way to represent it, depending on what type of problem we need to do. So addition and multiplication, we may be able to go ahead, if we're just doing one of those two things, have the objects in different orders and still get the same answer. If we're combining operations, we may not be able to get away with that. We can use parentheses to help us if it's going to be something that's different than our normal order of operations would let us do. So we are going to do these 12, we're sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 problems, sorry. And then we are going to do 1 through 6 on the back. So number 1 and number 2 are pretty self-explanatory. Number 3, we're looking at unit rate. So we are doing $2.56 for 32 ounces. We want to find out how much 1 fluid ounce costs. Number 4, we are going to actually be breaking this up. So we want to figure out how much is left if we start with 32 of something, and then one person takes 25% of that, and then somebody takes 50% of the remaining amount. So that could change the answer slightly. So don't just automatically assume, oh, we're taking 25% of the 32 and the other person's taking half of the 32. That's not what they're saying. Half of what is left after Elliot is done will get you to the right answer. And the answer is going to be the number of peanuts remaining after Zaire is done. All right. Number 5, we are doing $12 per hour for 15 hours. Number 6, we are figuring out using exponents. So when we were doing area and we were subtracting out an amount that's not there, we are going to do the exact same thing. So we can find the total area if this part wasn't missing and subtract the part that is missing. They want us to represent that problem using exponents. So instead of doing 7 times 7, we would do 7 squared, for instance. So that's what we're doing for that. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in Google Classroom. This is a Friday video, so you guys have a little bit more time over the weekend. I will be available occasionally over the weekend to answer questions, but I won't be on very much. So if you have any questions, definitely ask on Friday when this video comes out, and then I can help you with your questions that day before we get into the weekend. So hope you have a great day and a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday.